All right. Still testing this out. I think there's a problem with my camera connection. Let's see what happens. All right. Now I want to... How do I copy this stream code? Where's the URL? And done. Okay. And 2 viewers. Oh, hello. Who's on? Where is the URL to share? Quick actions, clip chat. Let's see. All right. We will find it one day. Where are you? Nope. Not there. Edit stream, clip, raid, manage, stream preview. This is wonderfully productive. Okie dokie. Chat settings. See if I can find it on the app. Twitch. Not there. All right. Well, home, you're live, manage stream. Here we go. Oh, maybe this is it. That's not it. Let's see. Back to channel. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm just gonna post here. Hope that works. All right. Now we're on. Okay, friends, thanks for bearing with me. So here we are, Wednesday. Stoked to be here. Been thinking about it a lot. Uh, I actually asked a few friends what I should talk about this week. I'm planning to have some guest speakers, some friends to talk about the self employed life. And until I get that lined up, I'm just going to share with you a bit about my experience as an entrepreneur. So, I started out as an entrepreneur when I was in high school. When all my friends were getting jobs, I decided to uh, just try something else. So the very first thing that I did was wash and detail cars. And, pretty straightforward. I just go ask my friends, parents, and my family members if I could detail their car for, I don't know, like $100. And I just hustled that for, I think I was a junior in high school. That was my first taste of working for myself. And what did I learn from that? I learned persistence, right? To keep on asking, even when people said no. I learned how to just not depend on clocking in and clocking out. If I wanted to get paid, then I had to do something. So from there, I realized that there was a need for some marketing skills, right? I needed pictures, I needed some type of advertisement. Back then, websites were still pretty new. This was what, like 2007, uh, newish, right? Websites. So I made a flyer, I needed to make a logo. So I learned how to do those things myself. I took a Photoshop class in high school and eventually took some more advanced classes at the community college that was right next to my high school. I learned photography. I even learned a little bit of website HTML coding. And that actually snowballed into my next self employed gig, which was graphic design, web design, and photography services for small businesses. For example, one of my first customers was a small clothing brand, and I took product photos, photos with models. I revamped their logo, made a business card, made a brochure flyer, made their website, all of this. That was kind of like the total package that I would offer. Um, oh, look, here's my brother. What's up, Max? So, yeah, he probably remembers those days. And that was my first experience. I did that through high school until I got my first job working as a bank teller. And I did that for about a year as a freshman in college until I did something else. And I did have a couple of jobs after that. I always had some kind of side hustle. I think it stems from just having these ideas. Uh, Max, do you remember that? Do you remember that time when I was doing the photography and the graphic design? Um, so, yeah, what I really want to talk about today is getting started. I got a couple of really great questions here. I'm going to give a shout out to Jonah for asking some great questions. And the first question that she asked is, what was the hardest part about starting your own business? Well, I'd say the hardest part is getting the confidence to do something about it. Uh, I was never at a shortage of ideas, right? Those just always came to me. And once I found one that I was really excited about, then comes that part, it's like, oh man, now I have to take action on it. I think that getting started inertia is the hardest part. There's so much fear. Let's take, for example, what I'm doing right now, creating this streaming channel. It's brand new for me, right? I had this idea a couple of weeks ago, and right before I did my first stream, I was extremely nervous. I'm, worried about looking good, looking bad, doing the right thing, doing the wrong thing. There's all of these things that are in the way, uh, just preventing me from getting started. And I think that's really common with a lot of potential entrepreneurs or self-employed people, is just taking that first step, right? I think a lot of us get stuck in the prepare mode where we have our target in sight and we're just aiming, right? Like we pull that arrow back and we're aiming for the target, and we just keep aiming and never actually let that arrow fly. That alone gets in the way of becoming an entrepreneur, is just getting started. That fear is so real. Even today, before I started streaming, I was thinking of all these other things that I could do. Uh, it's like, for example, I don't really have much of a plan. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. And the reality is, the more you do it, the less scary it becomes. So I'm aware of these fears, right? And I acknowledge them for what they are. They're just thoughts. That's all they are. They're thoughts with some emotion attached. And one thing that I learned early on as an entrepreneur is to take action despite the fear, right? Have a bit of courage. Courage isn't actually the absence of fear. It's not being fearless. It's acknowledging the fear, the source of it, whatever it is, and still having the courage to act anyways, to do something despite the fear. And this comes up in so many areas. Let me tell you, the fear never goes away. It doesn't matter how successful you are, how many times you've done it, your brain is like a machine. And one thing that it's really good at is creating meaning. Meaning which, shows up as fear, right? Oh, I don't know what to do. That means that I'm not good enough, right? I don't have enough money saved up, so that means that I should wait a little bit longer before trying out this idea. Um, yeah, so I would say the hardest thing about starting your own business is getting over that fear aspect. And what is there to do about it? Uh, the first thing I like to do is make a list of those fears, right? The things that are uh, just at the top of your mind, everything that you're afraid of, just write them down. When they live in our head, when those fears live in our thoughts, they seem so big and so real. And as soon as we can just get them out of our head, we gain a little bit more control over those fears. We can see them a little bit more clearly and start to do something about it. Usually, one of those fears, let's say like not having a plan, uh, or not having customers, you can do something about those fears. When you write it down, you can kind of expand them into achievable tasks. That's usually the first step to breaking down your fear, because when the fear is in your head and it's this big, it seems insurmountable, right? Like a wall that's just too big to climb. And yeah, it could be too big to tackle. If your goal is to make $10,000 your first month, I mean, who knows how that could happen, right? If you break that down into how many customers you need, how many packages at various price points you need to sell, how many people you have to talk to in order to actually get a customer who buys, you can then just break it down into more bite-sized pieces, right? Smaller actions. Instead of looking at it as I need to make $10,000 to pay my bills this month, you can look at it, as I need to contact 20 people today, by phone or messages, whatever your marketing strategy is, and then just break that down into daily tasks, then even into an hourly task. You know what? One philosophy that has really helped me, I didn't really find it until a few years ago, is called The One Thing. It's an incredible book. It's really short. I wish I had it here by me, but I don't. And it's a great read. It's broken down into two parts. One is debunking myths of success, and the second part is what you can do that actually works. And essentially, the one thing boils down to focusing on one thing at a time, right? When I have a business idea, it's usually a pretty elaborate plan. It's this big old vision that goes, years into the future. I really have this ability to just see it at its optimum level. Even before I started, I can really see all the different parts. And that, if I just stayed there in that big vision, it would just consume me, right? That is a massive project. And I'll even start thinking of reasons why it's not possible before I even get started. And I'll defeat myself before I even get started. So, start with that big vision and then start to break it down. Work backwards, right? Let's say you've got your 10-year vision. What's that going to look like in 5 years, in 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, right? The 1 year should be pretty detailed, and then we're just going to break it down into 6-month milestone, 3 months, 1 month, a week, a day, right? Eventually, you can start to break down your business, and ask yourself, if I want my business to be doing $10,000 a month, then how long is it going to take for me to get there? And all right, let's say it's going to take me 6 months to a year to get up to $10,000 in sales. What do I need to do every month, every week to get to that point? And just start breaking that down into daily activities until you get to that one thing, right? What's the one thing that I can do that'll make the biggest difference? Specifically, the book used this phrase, what's the one thing in which by doing it, everything else will become easier or unnecessary? Usually, I would say 100% of the time, there is one thing that will make the biggest difference and make everything else you have to do a little bit easier. So focus on that, right? And that really leads into the next question, which is, how do you stay motivated when you feel discouraged? Man, that's another thing. That's always there. Just like fear, right? Hand in hand. You have fear and you feel discouraged. Maybe somebody says no. Maybe several people say no. Uh, maybe you have some kind of issue with a supplier, or you're just feeling down because it takes a lot to really generate yourself being self employed, right? You don't have a boss who's looking over your shoulder, you don't have coworkers checking in on you. There's no real consequences, right? If you don't show up to work, if you don't perform your daily tasks, then what's going to happen? I mean, ultimately, you're the one that has to hold yourself accountable. So, what do you do to stay motivated? Well, first thing I want to point out is I believe there is a difference between motivation and inspiration. Uh, it might seem like a nuance. For me, it's made a difference actually understanding what those two mean. So, motivation for me typically comes from an outside source, something like motivational video, a speaker, some type of audio, a book, even. Uh, something that is external and it's temporary. It only lasts a short while, right? Motivation doesn't last forever. That's why we always need more of it. Whereas inspiration, it's more of an internal source. It's something that comes from within me. Whenever I feel inspired, it's like there's something in my gut or in my heart that's really pulling me towards something. There's this deep rooted reason to do what I'm doing. And usually, those reasons are not only about me. A lot of my wants and desires are external things. They're kind of temporary, so those motivate me until I get them. However, the things that really inspire me to keep on pushing when things get tough and when I get discouraged usually have to do with other people. People in my life that I care about, like my family, my friends, my partner. When I think about creating a better life for them, that's something I'm not willing to give up on so easily. So, if we just take a look at the difference between motivation and inspiration on a really surface level, right? Motivation is an external source, inspiration is an internal source. Motivation is temporary, while inspiration is infinite. It can be if you really get down to the why of what you're doing. So, back to the original question, what do you do when to stay motivated, when you feel discouraged? Well, specifically, I think that motivation is useful if you use it for what it is, right? As a temporary spark, like a Kickstarter to get your butt into gear, right? Sometimes I do like watching motivational videos, speakers, audios, because that really hypes me up long enough to just take action, right? Sometimes if I'm feeling like physically sluggish, then I'll do something to physically change my mood, like doing some push-ups or some jumping jacks or handstands. That'll physically put your heart above your head so your head's not in charge anymore. It also creates a lot of blood flow. So that will literally physically motivate you for a few minutes, just long enough to get started. All right. And sometimes that's all you need. You just need something to get you going, because once you're in the rhythm of doing whatever it is you need to do, let's say making some phone calls to potential customers, then then you're in the groove. So motivation is temporary, and you're going to have to keep on doing that over and over again. That's why I don't rely on motivation. Motivation requires a lot of discipline, something else that is not unlimited, right? When's the last time you tried to be super disciplined? How long did it last? For me, my discipline doesn't last very long. I definitely cannot be disciplined all day long. I have the most discipline in the morning, and as the day goes on, it diminishes. And to the point where it's like, if I have anything important to do at the end of the day, it's probably going to get put off till tomorrow. That's just how it is. And if I try to stay disciplined all day long, I'm so exhausted. I'm not enjoying myself. Uh, it's just a lot. So why do it? I actually think it's very unnecessary to be disciplined for a long period of time. Uh, Really, if you look at discipline, again, as something that's temporary, then you only have to be disciplined for a moment. Just long enough to do the thing that needs to get done. And if you can focus on having that small amount of discipline consistently, right? Let's say every day, then what will happen is you'll start to create this pattern or a habit. And habits are a lot easier to keep up than discipline. Habits, there's some aspect of muscle memory, even in our brains, right? You've probably heard of neuroplasticity. This is a type of muscle memory that we have, and it makes things easier. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So, after a while, if you just, let's say, do the thing that's hardest to do first thing in the morning, right? As early as possible. Make that thing first on your list. Use all your energy, all your focus to just get that one thing done. Okay? Then do it again the next day and do it again. Maybe it doesn't take that long each day. Maybe you only have to devote an hour, 15 minutes to this one task that you're really dreading. And I guarantee if you can just stick to it for 30 days, for 40 days, for 60 days, that inertia to get started will be so much less. And you won't need as much discipline to do it. On the 30th day, doing that thing is going to feel a little bit easier. And now you're just living out this habit. And it becomes almost automatic. Once you get to that point where you have this automatic habit, then you can reintroduce discipline again and create another habit. And just keep doing that until you've now stacked all of these habits on top of each other. And that's how you create a really great routine for keeping yourself, you know, not motivated, but just keeping yourself productive as a self-employed person. Um, all right, let's see where we are. 132. So I want to keep these sessions, light and focused until we get a little bit more engagement. Uh, the one other thing I want to point to with motivation and inspiration is spend some time finding your inspiration. Really look into it. The way I like to do that is start with why. Ask yourself why. Why am I here doing what I'm doing, right? For example, why am I here streaming on Twitch? Well, My why is because I really want to connect with people. And who I am is the possibility of other people living authentic lives and really transforming their lives. My dog is distracting me right now. Sunny, go to your bed. That actually works. Um, so, yeah, like for me, my why is connecting and empowering other people. So, even if I'm not making any money, if I'm not getting paid to do this streaming, I'm going to show up because I have something to share. And I believe that what I have to share does make a difference. Uh, so, the next time that I go to stream and I'm feeling that resistance, I'm feeling discouraged because nobody showed up to this stream, I'm going to pull on that reason, that why. It's like, look, I'm not here for popularity. I'm not here to look good. I'm here to show up for other people, for that one connection, that one conversation that might make a difference in somebody's life. So don't skip over that part. Really, this might take days, several attempts. Get a piece of paper, a journal, and ask yourself why. Usually, you have to ask yourself 10 times, to get down 10 levels to figure out really why you're doing what you're doing, whatever that business idea is. I guarantee you, once you get to the root of that, that will be your source of inspiration that will pull you in those times that you're feeling discouraged. Write it down, put it someplace that you can see all the time. Put it next to your desk, next to your computer, put it on the background of your phone so you're always present to your why. Also, I did create this video on YouTube a while ago. It's a little exercise on how to find your why. So if you'd like some help with that, just find my YouTube channel. It's the same name. That's a Mason. And yeah, just follow along and have some fun with it. So that's it for today's stream. I hope you got something out of this. I sure did. Feel free to shoot me a message and let me know what you think we should talk about next time. Thanks.